There's John Black, Super Chemist, JBSC. I forget where we were at last video. That it was a drawn out, expensive procedure to transition, but they at least told you all the side effects. You're going to die earlier and not have health problems, that's for sure. Especially if you did it a long time ago, like in the 70s or something. You definitely got liver problems and other things wrong with you. Um, but there was a procedure, and you didn't have any medical stuff done if you weren't 18 years or older. And even after that, they made you jump through all these hoops. Even when you were 18, you couldn't just go and do whatever you wanted like an adult, like you live free in a free country. uh, but this is, oh, that's why I was bringing up the pure transsexual, okay? Because I'm going to go into, cause that's way what it used to be. Now, actually, today, what they do is they affirm immediately. If a child says that they feel like a girl, a boy feels like he's a girl, that's it. And if they take them to the psychologist has to say, you're right, you are a boy, you are a girl, and we're going to start giving you puberty blockers, and we're going to start setting you up for drugs and get rid of your balls and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Castrate you, and and I guess when you're 18, you can have sex surgery. Although they probably let them have the sex surgery as little children. I don't know. But anyways, that's the way it is today. Okay, it went from, hey, you got to be an adult and you got to, you know, see a therapist for 2 years, live as a woman for 2 years, and then, there was a procedure. It took time. You didn't just go in and be like, hey, I'm the other gender, and boom, they start chopping crap off your body. They actually asked you, well, are you sure? Why do you think that? You know, a good psychologist wouldn't point them in either direction. He would just ask questions at first to find out why they think that. Okay, he doesn't want to steer them in any direction because he doesn't know what direction to steer them in. First thing he wants to do is have conversations about why they think that they're in the wrong body. Okay, that's the correct thing to do, not to just jump off oh, 10-year-old told me this, well, then it must be true because they ain't never been wrong. 10-year-olds are really smart. No, little kids are idiots, okay? They're idiots. Um, but that being said, it's not just about if they are trans. Uh, so for my opinions on this thing is that let's see. It's not just about if they are trans. Not all trans people should transition. Okay. Now it all depends on the person. Now, if you're a pure transsexual, then yes, I think that those people should all transition, every last one of them. Uh, but do they all? Should they all get transitioned? No, and this is why. Because some people have to, if they're not a pure transsexual, then they're down on the spectrum, okay, a little bit. And they have to consider what do they want out of life and what can they handle mentally, okay? Because if you're 6 foot, 7 foot tall, and you're big as heck, and I don't mean fat. I mean, because fat would be great for a transsexual, better than being bulky like a football, like a linebacker or whatever. Um, Solid, like, you know what I mean. Uh, and you're looking like that, and you have a chiseled face, very mannish face. Even with face surgery, you'd still look mannish. Giant hands, big giant feet. Does that person want to? Yes, even if he he has the male body and he has the female brain, even though he's a female, does he want to transition? Would it be good for him? Uh, Considering that how society is or whatever, or for him in that position, does he want to be the ugliest woman on the planet because she's a woman, or does she want to be just stay in her man body and just, when she's at home, dress as a woman or whatever. Uh, it depends on the person. But in all instances, if it's the transsexual type person where since the 3 year old, 4 years old, they've been saying it and they argue about it and they won't let it go, and no matter what you do, they're still saying it. Those people need to transition. Okay. I mean, even if you're, going to be an ugly woman, or mannish, and you're going to be, having to deal with racism and discrimination, you should still, I think in that case, you should actually still do it. Oh, what's going on with this? Oh, my battery came off my plug. The battery is there low, going low. But let's see what I got here. Oh, did I hit that? So say 7. I got 8 minutes. Hold on 1 sec. Sorry. Yeah. All right. So where was I at? So it's not just because a person is trans doesn't necessarily mean that they should go through this transition. You know what I mean? They might not want. Maybe they're like me. Like take me for example. I'm agoraphobic. I don't like going out in public. Don't get me wrong. I haven't many times in my life. I've had to go out and blah blah blah, and I can go to work and all that kind of stuff. But I don't like, I feel uncomfortable going out just as I am right now, right? Now, if I get dressed up in a dress and I got a wig on and makeup, and you can plainly tell I'm biologically a man, even if I was a woman brain in a male body, I couldn't handle that stress of going out and everyone looking at me and, the discrimination and all that kind of crap. Because I can't even handle going out when no one's paying any attention to me. You know what I mean? I'm having panic attacks almost. You know what I mean? So I don't. It depends. Not every person needs to transition or wants to transition, and it's good for everyone to go transition. So when it comes to kids, I think first of all, for adults, I think there should be no restrictions. If you're 18 years old, you should not have these restrictions. None of them. What you do with your body, what right do I have to tell another human being what to do with their body? Even if it does shorten their life, even if it does give them, liver damage or this kind of damage or that kind of damage from doing the hormones and stuff, that's not on me to, you know what I mean? That's their choice. I don't have the right, just like they don't have the right to come over here and tell me what to do with my body. You know what I mean? You got a right to do that. So why would I think I have that right? No one has that right. It's their body. If they want, would I suggest they do that? No, I would suggest you go see a psychologist, and I would suggest that you live as a woman for a couple years. I would suggest that you see a psychologist for a couple years, and then decide if you want to do hormone therapy or whatever. You know what I mean? You're an adult. It should be your decision 100%. I think by law, because right now it's different, but it used to be by law that you have to go see the psychologist before you can get any of these hormone things. You know what I mean? A psychiatrist, rather. And I just lost my train of thought again. But for an adult, I would say that they should be required to go to one, even though it's always there, whatever, they should be required to go to at least one visit to a psychologist or psychiatrist to get the information about the downfalls of what they're doing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that doctor gets to decide whether they get the treatment they want. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying before they get the treatment, they got to at least go to some classes or whatever to so that they can hear what the negative effects could be in their life. You know what I mean? And so that's on the adults. Now the kids, I think pure transsexual kids, the ones I mentioned before, they want to chop their dick off. They want to kill themselves if they don't get rid of their dick. Those kids should be able to transition. I don't know what age, but keep in mind, um, you know, say 10 or 12 or 14 is when you go through puberty. It's going to take a couple of years because I think that the child would obviously have to go to a psychologist. Child have to definitely be interrogated almost. Not interrogated. I mean, interrogated in a nice way so they don't understand that they're being interrogated, you know what I mean? Because they're just kids. And don't push them in either direction. Just ask them straight up, why do you think you're a girl? Oh, I play with dolls and out like that. Have you always played with dolls? And, you know, they say, yeah, then you're like, well, what makes you think that you're a girl just because you play with dolls? I mean, boys are allowed to play with dolls. You know, you got to ask questions like that and see, because it might just be a boy. So if you're affirming kids on just their word, it could be a kid that, you know, is just into dressing like a girl sometimes, or is just feminine sometimes, you know what I mean? And that's why you would make the child go to a doctor. Let's say the child was like, oh, well, I've been trying to dress like a girl for the last month or whatever, and the child is like 8 years old. Well, first off, you're going to chop in your head. The doctor's going to think, well, eight's pretty old to be, you know, waiting to, you know, how long have you been doing this? No, he hasn't been doing it, you know. He plays with dolls, but he's never, you know, done girl stuff, but he's never tried to get into dresses and stuff like that. That's something recent. Well, that makes me think maybe he's not a pure transsexual. Maybe he's just experimenting, or it's a phase, or whatever. You know what I mean? Or he's just a little bit feminine. Just being feminine doesn't mean that you're a transsexual. You know what I mean? And that's what they're teaching these kids today. If you're a girl and you're a little bit masculine, or you like boy activities, that makes you transsexual. And if the other way around, if you're a boy and you like dolls and girl stuff, and you're automatically transsexual. Can't be just you're gay or you're feminine or you're, you know what I mean? It always, boom, let's chop off the balls and tits, you know, or whatever. They go straight to that. And that's a shame, because this is all going to ruin, you know, like what about that little girl, okay, that was born a boy, right? And since 3 or 4 years old, she's saying, oh, I'm a girl. And they're telling them, no, you're not. And she's like, no, screw you, I'm a girl. That little girl now is not going to, it's going to, because the Republicans and the Christians or whatever, they're going to swing the pendulum, because now the pendulum has gone this way to the crazies on the left, right? So when it gets so out of hand, so left, the right will come in with the Christians, and they'll push it all the way, and they'll go all the way past where they should be. They should be here, but they'll push it all the way back here. And don't get me wrong, it's both sides do that. They both do that. The pendulum just goes back and forth between these two crazy people, the woke and the Christians. It's just they can't go in the middle where normal people are. They just can't. They can't do it. They would die.